I made the reservation for 4 people thinking nobody was going to show up. We ended up having over 20 girls show up to that first happy hour, and everything just kind of like snowballed from there. The community did not start off at all being a business. I was not thinking about this as a business. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll get some free workout classes out of it. I'm in this Facebook group looking for recommendations. I see other people doing the same thing, and they would often get attacked. Go back to your city. We don't want you here. I'm like, this doesn't feel good. There's got to be another way. I don't think people realize how high touch community is. At the end of the day, you're not going to make everybody happy. You can make most of the people happy and stay true to your mission and ethos, creating a safe, welcoming environment for women. In the last couple of months, a lot of those brands have come back to us saying, hey, our CEO has been watching you. Our founder's been watching you. We want to do something together. We have a budget now. Let's talk. When it comes to community, you want to have owned media. Just having followers on Instagram or just having followers on TikTok, that isn't enough. Some girls came up to me, they were at a happy hour, and they said, look, we just moved into this building in Brickell. We're all roommates and we met from happy hour. Welcome to Stacked, the show that helps you become your own best asset. Because in case you missed it, you're allowed to have a high vibe and a high net worth. Welcome back to Stacked, the show about becoming your own best asset. I'm your host, Emily Dempsey, and today we are going to do a solo episode. We often have guests come on the show, but you guys always have so many questions for me about Brickell Babes and community building. I figured it would be fun to do a special episode today where we kind of pull back the curtain and answer some of your frequently asked questions about what it takes to build a community and all of the things that go into it. So we're going to get into it. I have a couple questions that you have shared with me and some I came up with on my own. So Brickell Babes started 4 years ago now. We actually recently had our 4th birthday in March. And the way that the community started is I had relocated here to Miami from New York. I didn't really have any other reason for moving to Miami besides wanting a change and the pandemic. And Miami, South Florida was a really great place to be. So I move here. I have a new job. I'm working remotely and I'm struggling to make friends and get local business recommendations. So the community really started selfishly out of a need for me to find these things. And we started off on Facebook. I was in another Facebook group where people were asking a lot of the same questions. There were a lot of transplants from New York, LA, Chicago, Texas, you name it. Miami was having like a huge influx of growth back in 2022. And I'm in this Facebook group and I'm like posting in there looking for recommendations. I see other people doing the same thing, and they would often get attacked by people who had been here for a long time. And they're like, go back to your city. We don't want you here. I'm like, this is not cool. This doesn't feel good. There's got to be another way. So I messaged a couple of people that were kind of like-minded and let them know, hey, like I set up this new Facebook group. Come to the group. I very clearly put in the description, hi, this is, founded by an ex-New Yorker. I used to work in fashion. I'm working in commercial real estate. I'm working remotely. If this at all resonates with you, by the way, girls only, come join the group. So we very quickly thereafter had our first happy hour. I made a reservation at Moxie's, which is right in the heart of Brickell. And I made the reservation for 4 people thinking nobody was going to show up. We ended up having over 20 girls show up to that first happy hour, and everything just kind of like snowballed from there. So the community did not start off at all being a business. I did not intend for it to really ever be anything more than just a way for me to make friends, get local business recommendations, and like maybe get some free services here and there out of it. So I will say from day like 60, so 2 months in, I had made a media kit for the Brickell Babes. And I did that because we were really struggling to get reservations at these different local businesses. So we had this group now that's growing. The first couple weeks, we were a few hundred members. Then we were very shortly thereafter a few thousand members. And we were trying to organize events. We were not making any money off of these events, but we really wanted to have like a dedicated area at a venue and have the community that was coming be able to order their own food and drinks and not have to split the bill. Which at this time in Miami where everything was like super booked and busy, this is not something a lot of the venues were even willing to entertain. They wanted a credit card down. They wanted a spending minimum. They didn't want to give us a dedicated area. So it was really difficult to even like figure out how to get a space. So I put together a media kit showing our demographics, the breakdown of ages of the women in the community, where they came from, their professions, and some pictures from past events, and a little blurb describing the community. So as we would reach out to different venues asking, can we host, a happy hour here? Can we host a fitness class? Can we host X, Y, and Z? We would send along with them with the outreach, the media kit. And this really opened a lot of doors for us because it really allowed these local businesses to see who our community was and what value we might be bringing to them. So now all of a sudden, like 3 months in, I'm no longer like literally arguing with these restaurants and bars over having to put my credit card down for this group of like 20 people that don't know each other. It completely defeats the purpose, right? Like you're not going to go meet up with 20 strangers and like be stuck with the bill. You may never see them again. It just didn't make any sense. But at the same place and time, like all these local businesses wanted the new traffic. They wanted new people to come in. So that was like really our very first like uphill battle with having in-person events. And the media kit really started changing that for us. And it wasn't until it was very shortly thereafter that we started having a lot of local businesses actually reach out to us asking if they could host our community. So, we really learned a lot from that first event. Like I said, Moxie's, they made a reservation for 4 people, 20 people showed up. The venue was not happy with us. We had too many people. There weren't enough seats. They didn't want to split the bill. So that was like our big learning from the first event, and then kind of how we were able to navigate going forward. Now today we are, I would say, like totally inundated with requests from venues all around Miami asking to host our community. So we really have kind of our choice when it comes to which venues we're choosing to partner with, and we really vet them to make sure they're up to our brand standards. There are places we would want to hang out, and like the service and the quality of the venue, whatever category it's in. Is it a fitness studio? Is it a restaurant, a bar, a matcha? What is it? They really have to like fit within our brand standards in order for us to agree to host an event with them. So definitely a lot of little details behind the scenes that you might not know about if you haven't ever tried building a community. So what did your one of Brickell Babes actually look like? Paint the picture and not the highlight reel. So the picture, this is a good question. So the picture of Brickell Babes in year 1, it was like we had like these kind of very colorful, very crazy flyers we put together. They were super inconsistent. We had a logo. We had this like bright blue washed out cityscape background of Brickell with our logo laid over it. And it was honestly it was very casual, but it was also like very fun and lighthearted. And there were so many people just jumping in, wanting to help plan events and organize and really keep the girls together. We spun up an Instagram really quickly. I think we had like 10 or 12 ambassadors join us. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of events, but also a lot of negotiations with these venues just to even let us like show up. So that was really a lot of year 1. And then the Facebook group just kind of exploding overnight because people felt like, oh my gosh, this is a safe space. I can talk to, it is women only. It's a safe space where I can talk to other women who have the same problems as me or are looking for the same things, whether it's friendship, they're looking for jobs, dating advice, literally, you name it. The girls are talking about this in the Facebook group and in our online communities. So that was really, I would say, year 1. And again, like I was not thinking about this as a business. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll get to like, get some free workout classes out of it, share my review on the Instagram. And that was kind of really it. I was very focused on my other career at the time. my commercial real estate career. So everybody talks about authenticity and community building. What does that word actually mean in practice? And what does it mean when you're the one executing it? So in my opinion, authenticity means being authentic. What does it mean to be authentic? I think it means being consistent, staying true to your word, and being honest. So if there is something that you like or you don't like you share your opinion. You don't hold back. Maybe you're not like being you're doing so in I don't even want to say agreeable way, but like it is okay to have an opinion, and that is what breeds authenticity. I think it's super important, especially in a community like the one we've been able to grow with the Brickell Babes, which today we're over 70,000 women across all of our platforms, adding thousands of members each month. And I think the reason people come to us is because we are a safe space. People express their opinions, positive or negative. And there's there's not a lot of places where you can do that. But then also the events that we do have in person, we have a really wide range of women that show up. I would say primarily the women that show up are late 20s to mid 40s, all the way up to their 50s. So we have a really broad range of women in our community, but their core value and their core, the core common thread between all of them is that they're looking for authentic connection. They're often very motivated, independent, career-oriented, or just like they want to become the best version of themselves, whether they're working on a charity initiative or starting a new business or a hobby, whatever that is. Everybody is really looking to become the best version of themselves in that capacity, but then also connect with like-minded women here in Miami. And because we are such a high growth city, there's so many new transplants coming every single day. And people are constantly looking for ways to get in connection in real life. I think the more that we move as a society into leveraging AI, incorporating it in our business, the more tech-driven, things that we do lead to more and more isolation. So it almost swings the pendulum really far in the opposite direction, and people want more connection in person, which is why we see so much demand for the in-person events that we do host, which is really something special. And I think, over 4 years, we've been able to just be really consistent in who we are as a brand. And of course, we've grown up a lot and things have evolved in many ways, but we have the same core values, which are authenticity, community, connection, friendship, and really just becoming the best version of yourself. What is the unglamorous, unsexy work that people never see behind a community of this size? So I don't think people realize how high touch community is, especially when it comes to a community of this size. So I think, a lot of community that's out there, or has been at least traditionally, has been influencer driven community, whereas our community is community first. And I've really tried to detach myself from being the face of the community. I think the community stands on its own very well. Of course, there has to be somebody behind the scenes driving everything behind it, but we're really driven by our team of ambassadors and the other businesses that we partner with. So we're really a community-driven brand, which means our community's voice is so important. So we are always listening. We are always taking into account ideas and feedback, ideas for events, ideas for opportunities to connect, ideas for really you name it. So I think people don't realize how high touch the community is, especially of this size, and how vocal women are, which is amazing. And it's a great thing, but it can be very hard to please everybody. But I think having a really strong North Star and mission statement allows you to kind of filter through any noise and move forward, because at the end of the day, you're not going to make everybody happy, but if you can make most of the people happy and stay true to your mission and ethos, and our mission and ethos is creating a safe, welcoming environment for women to connect with each other and build lifetime friendships, lasting connections, find their co-founder, find their, best friend, find their whatever. That's really what we stand for. Was there a specific moment where it stopped feeling like a hobby and started feeling like a responsibility? I would say when I started getting like cold emails or DMs or people coming up to me at events telling me stories about how the community changed their lives, I realized that this was something so much bigger than just a silly little Facebook group or an Instagram page. It was a really good feeling. It made me feel very proud, but also it was a really surreal moment. I think one of the first ones I remember was some girls came up to me. They were at a happy hour and they said, "Look, like, oh my God, Emily, we have to tell you. We just moved into this building in Brickell. There's 3 of us. We're all roommates and we met from happy hour a few months ago and we hit it off. We're best friends and now we're roommates." So that was like one of the very, very first ones, which was absolutely amazing. I got goosebumps. Like this was in probably like a couple months into the community starting. And then since then, there's just been hundreds of stories like these, women getting jobs, women finding business partners, contractors, people going on trips together, people like, so like for me, I've truly met every single one of my friends from the community, or if it's a transplant friend, I've dragged them into the community with me and they've met a bunch of friends and it's changed their lives. It definitely does feel like a bit of a responsibility, but in a very positive and uplifting way. And now navigating how do I make this community sustainable so that it can continue to grow and flourish without me and potentially expand beyond just the greater Miami area. What is the biggest mistake you see people make when they try to build a community from scratch? So there's a couple of things. Number one, I would say consistency. So not being consistent. I think, it's taken us 4 years to get the community to be the size that it is today. I think that consistency is the most important thing. Consistent marketing, consistent events, consistent engagement. Consistency is number one, the most important thing. And then the second thing I would say is empowering and enabling the community to exist without you and pushing it to sustain on its own, I think is extremely important. That is how you get massive organic growth, is really empowering community to exist beyond you. And I think that's something we've been able to do very well. Just, I think part of it is getting lucky being in a high growth city like Miami post-pandemic, but I think also a lot of it is people are genuinely looking for a connection, and we provide that in a very safe, organic way. And then the third mistake I see people make is I think people try to monetize too soon, and I think that can lead you, I think one, that's a little bit of a scarcity mindset. I think the money will come. You just need to be patient, and you want to hold out for the right brand partnerships, and you want to be making sure that you're always delivering substantially more value to your community than you are taking from it, because that's a really quick way to lose your community. What does a community need that a following does not? That's a great question. I think a community needs consistency, structure, and the ability for community leaders to continue to grow and expand the community beyond what it is. So if you take an organization like YPO, Young Professional Organization, they have thousands of members all around the world, and they have community heads, YPO chapter leaders in various cities, and then they have sub-chapters within those cities. And I think that is a really great way for a community to grow organically, grassroots at a much faster rate, is by having organic growth and having, leaders within the community and not just having one central person. I think that's super, super important. And then as far as something that a following needs that a community doesn't, I think community needs in-person events or digital events, and I think a following doesn't necessarily need that. There's a lot of like quote unquote communities out there, but it's really just an influencer and a brand and people that are bought into that. I think that is a bit different than a community that kind of stands on its own. We could have monetized much earlier and much harder. Why didn't we? And why do we think Restraint was the right call? So I think I answered that a little bit earlier, but the reason we didn't monetize earlier is because 1, it's a lot of work. 2, do brand partnerships. We always want to under-promise and over-deliver, always. That is like the name of the game whether you're doing influencer brand partnerships, anything in that regard. I think it's extremely important. And I didn't want to be running around chasing, small checks at the expense of the community. A check for a few $100s, a few $1,000s, one-off with a brand we're never going to work with again, or that, isn't something we actually stand behind, is going to do much more damage to the community than holding out for long-term partnerships with brands that actually make sense. And I will say now, 4 years in, we started pitching like real partnerships, like influencer level partnerships last year. And in the last couple of months, a lot of those brands have come back to us saying, hey, we've been watching you. Our CEO has been watching you. Our founder's been watching you. We want to do something together. Like, we have a budget now, let's talk. So I think it's always better to hold out for the right thing. It's going to have a lot more integrity for your community. What do I know now about building Brickell Babes that I wish I knew at the very beginning? Well, when I started Brickell Babes, I did not think that it was going to become my full-time job at all. I thought it was a cute little hobby that I started. I didn't pay much attention to the name. I like alliteration. I thought it sounded cute. And that was really it. I wasn't thinking about it like a business beyond having a media kit and like getting a blowout for free and sharing it on an Instagram story. I was not thinking about it as a business. But I also think that's really what led to so much of our growth over the past few years, is that it was really a passion project and something that changed my life in so many ways. And I've seen it be able to change so many other people's lives. So I think that's almost like a blessing in disguise that I didn't know. But as far as something I wish that I knew that I had actually heard from somebody else, I wish I started a little bit earlier than I did, is to capture as many email addresses as possible, get as much information, demographics, name, contact information on your community as possible, because that is really the most valuable asset when it comes to community. You want to have owned media. So just having followers on Instagram or just having followers on TikTok, that isn't enough. You really want to own as many touch points with your community as possible, because that is what makes your community valuable to brand partners. So that's really like a business answer. And then I would say, as far as like just like community building and like lifestyle answer, I think I wish that I accepted help from people who were offering help earlier on, because it is a lot of work to build a community, and we've been able to grow so much because we've had really amazing people, leaders within our community join. And so I would say, if there's people that want to be involved and want to help out, like lean into that and let them rip. All right, you guys, this was a super fun episode. I love talking about community building, love talking about the Brickell Babes and my journey from passion project to full-on business. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me or email me. And if you are not following us on social media, make sure that you are. Brickell Babes, the Brickell Babes everywhere, and Stacked, the podcast, is Stacked Assets everywhere. You can get on our email list for the Brickell Babes. You can join our membership. It's on our website, www.thebrickelbabes.com/membership. And we would love to see you. And if you have not given us 5 stars, commented, or liked this episode on whichever platform you're watching on, please do so. All the engagement we can get right now helps us out, as we are very early on in our podcast girl era. We'll see you on the next episode. That's a wrap on this episode of Stacked. If this one added value, share it with someone who's ready to level up their financial life. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, leave a rating and review. It helps us keep the show going and reach more people who are serious about becoming their own best asset. You can subscribe to our newsletter at www.stackedassets.co for weekly intel on Bitcoin markets, business, and living well. Follow along on socials at Stacked Assets or my personal at Emily Dempsey for more on Bitcoin business and building the life you actually want. I'll see you next week. Stay stacked.